Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 21st July 2021. So first of all, I want to wish you a very happy Eid Mubarak. So let's come back, and in this lecture, we are going to discuss 6 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let us see first topic. Title says 2/3 of Indians have antibodies. So what is important here? So what you need to focus here? So actually we studied about this Sero survey long ago, right? So if you are having a recap, this will be very important because you can expect a question regarding this Sero survey and some facts regarding what is this Sero survey in your prelims. And again we need to revise about what is this antibodies again. Okay, so if you see how these antibodies are produced in our body, so whenever any foreign particle, for example, if there is any antigen or disease causing organism like bacteria, virus or any protozoa or amoeba etc. which entered into our human body, means it will be foreign particle, so it's antigen. So in response to this antigen, our body will release antibodies. So antibodies are simply, these are protein structures which mainly fight against these antigens which enter into our body. So in this way our immune system will works. So here we are mainly going for this serological survey. So this sero survey conducted by this ICMR, and this is the 4th phase of this sero survey. So in this serological survey, we are going to identify whether these antibodies, especially IgG, immunoglobulin G antibody, which is present in our body or not. So what is inference if we are having this IgG antibody in our body? So inference here is, so here we already infected by this coronavirus. That means whenever this coronavirus enter into our body immune system which get activated and which produces this antibodies. And if at all we are taking vaccine, so in this regard also we can develop this antibodies. So these are 2 important inference that you need to remember. So this is about some brief background. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this topic will be important from science and technology because we are dealing with these antibodies, and also this will be important from health point of view, which comes under GS paper 2. So first let us focus on context. So context says that, so recently ICMR conducted this sero survey. So according to this sero survey data released, and this data says 2/3 of the population aged above 6 years have antibodies against this SARS coronavirus 2. So this article mainly says that, so recently ICMR went for serological survey, and this serological survey found out that 2/3 of population who are aged above 6 years, they are having antibodies against the SARS coronavirus. So if you see further more details which are given in this topic, it mainly says that nearly 40 crore people, that is about 1/3 of population, still they are vulnerable to COVID-19 infection. Only 2/3 of population having this antibodies, and here about 40 crore people, that is about 1/3 of population, they are still vulnerable to this COVID-19 infection. So this is the first thing you need to remember. And next one is more than half, that is 1/2 of children who are aged between 6 to 17 years. So children who are between 16 to 17 years, about 50% of children, they are also got seropositive. So seropositive means they are having antibodies in their blood. So there is a same proportion, that is when we are compared with urban areas and even rural areas. And about 85% of healthcare workers, they are having antibodies. So if you are taking about proportion of this healthcare workers who are vaccinated, about 1/10 of these people are not vaccinated. And we can see overall 85% of healthcare workers, they are having antibodies. So now let us focus on what is this sero survey. So in this serological survey, so we are going for withdrawing of blood samples. So these blood samples are mainly tested for presence of this IgG antibodies, that is immunoglobulin G antibodies. So when we identify whether these antibodies are present or not, then we can see whether this herd immunity which is mainly produced or not. So here we can also relate this topic with our herd immunity. So herd immunity is very important mainly to break transmission chain of this coronavirus. So here in this sero survey, which mainly used to determine prevalence of coronavirus antibodies among community. And we are withdrawing blood samples, and these blood samples are tested for presence of IgG antibodies. So this antibodies may determines past coronavirus infection, and this IgG mainly appears within 2 weeks of COVID-19 infection. So whenever any person infected with the SARS coronavirus, then his immune system will be activated, and within 2 weeks we can identify these IgG antibodies which will be appear in bloodstream of that infected person. So whenever there is presence of this IgG antibodies, which means it indicates presence of past exposure to virus, or we can also say that person so and so he took vaccine. So this is gist of this topic. I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to next topic. Title says Center seeks time to set ex gratia guidelines. So this article is talking about ex gratia guidelines, right? So to understand this topic, you need to know background what happened. So recently one public interest litigation filed, PIL petition filed in Supreme Court that, so this petition mainly asked to provide ex gratia for families who lost their loved ones because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And this PIL mainly asked that at least rupees 4 lakhs per person should be given as ex gratia. So in this context, Supreme Court asked Center whether they are going to provide this ex gratia or not, and to come up with this ex gratia guidelines. Yes, Center replied to Supreme Court that, so already there is financial burden which is mainly faced because of this COVID-19, and further if they are providing this ex gratia for families who lost their loved ones, means it will increasing fiscal burden that will also leads to fiscal deficit. So this is a thing which mainly said by Center. And Supreme Court asked National Disaster Management Authority mainly to come up with ex gratia guidelines within 6 weeks on June 30th. Okay, so now this is one recent development regarding that issue. So this topic will be important regarding polity point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. And now let us try to focus on context, why it is in news. So the Center has approached Supreme Court to allow this National Disaster Management Authority to give more time to frame uniform guidelines for payment of this ex gratia. Okay, so here what is the thing? So Center mainly approached Supreme Court and asked that it need to give some more time for this National Disaster Management Authority to come up with uniform guidelines for payment of this ex gratia assistance to families of persons who mainly died because of this COVID-19. Government asked it required 1 more month. But earlier Supreme Court gave 6 weeks of time for this NDMA National Disaster Management Authority to come up with these guidelines. Okay, now Center mainly asking 1 more month of time extension. So if you see further more details which are given in this topic, which mainly says that government sent accelerated formulation of guidelines that would lead to undesirable results. So without proper planning and without proper formulation, and whenever we are going for urgent reforms, urgent things, then that will lead to some undesired effects. So Supreme Court gave in its judgment that, so NDMA National Disaster Management Authority, okay, so this National Disaster Management Authority which is failed to perform its statutory duty regarding ex gratia assistance on account of loss of life as part of minimum basic standards of relief. So this is a judgment which is given by Supreme Court. And if you see some more provisions of compensation, why we need to provide compensation for these people? Because last year Center declared this COVID-19 as a disaster. Okay, Center mainly declared this COVID-19 as a notified disaster under Disaster Management Act. So in this Disaster Management Act, one section, that is section 12 subclass 3 of this act, mainly says that national authorities shall be recommended to provide guidelines for minimum standard of relief that to be provided for persons who are affected by disaster. So here, because of this COVID-19, which mainly declared as a notified disaster by center, so now this national authority which come up with guidelines to provide ex gratia. So this section 12 subclass 3 mainly talks about ex gratia assistance also, which should be given on account of loss of life. So because of this session which is mainly taken by center. Okay, so this is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Asian Development Bank trims financial year 2022 growth forecast to 10%. So to understand this, again we need to know background. So here ADB mainly stands for Asian Development Bank. So as you know that this Asian Development Bank will also come up with growth forecast. So actually earlier, so before this second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, so Asian Development Bank came up with growth forecast that is 11%, and now it's downgraded to 10%. So what might be reasons? Because of this second wave of coronavirus, so states across country, they came up with restrictions and as well as lockdowns. So because of this, that altered economic activity in our country. So finally, ADB came up with this financial year 2022 growth forecast to 10%. So this is some background. So this topic will be important from our GS paper 3 under economy. So now let us try to discuss this topic. And one more thing you need to focus here is some basic facts regarding this Asian Development Bank. So first, let us focus on context. If you say context, it mainly says that Asian Development Bank mainly came up with this growth forecast of India's growth, and this year downgraded from 11% to 10%. So Asian Development Bank mainly citing reasons for this is imposition of lockdowns in states across our country because of this second wave. So if you see some more details, it mainly says that it also expects most of country's populations, they need to be vaccinated by 22 to 23. So in 22 to 23 financial year, we can go for high growth estimates than compared to that of financial year 2022. So India can meet its target of vaccinating all adults by December 2021. So we can also expect some amount of growth that will be seen after this full vaccination, okay, by December 2021. And this article also focused on expected inflation. So as we know, what is meaning of inflation? Inflation means, in simple layman term, I can say there will be increase in price of goods and services in market. So whenever there is increase in price of goods and services in market, this condition is called inflation. So inflation can be classified into three types. First one is we have demand pull inflation, second one is cost push inflation, and third one is built-in inflation. And we discussed about this inflation number of times in our Hindu analysis. So this is your duty to revise those. Okay. So here this article mainly says that expected inflation for 2021 to 2022 is 5.5% from 5.2% that mainly came up earlier. So as we also studied that retail inflation, which is very much high, but if you see target of inflation to be maintained in India, it is 2 to 6%. That is 4 plus or minus 2%. But from last 3 months, we are seeing inflation which is more than 6%. Now last month, which is mainly about 6.3%, which is higher than target that need to be maintained. So this article mainly says that in next financial year, we are also going to decrease this inflation. And now let us try to focus on some facts regarding this Asian Development Bank. So in short, it is also called as ADB. So this Asian Development Bank, it is a regional development bank. It mainly established on 19th December 1966. And now it has about 68 members. Out of these 68 members, 49 members are from Asia itself. And if you're talking about headquarters, they are located in Manila, Philippines. And if you're talking about stakeholders, 5 largest stakeholders in this Asian Development Bank, they are Japan, US, China, India and Australia. So important aim of this Asian Development Bank, it is to promote social and also economic development. So these are some important facts that you need to remember regarding this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says aquaculture farmers to self-produce on eSanta. So here you need to focus on two important things. So first one is you need to understand what is this aquaculture. So aqua means water, and in water whenever we are going for rearing of fishes or prawns, so that is called as aquaculture. And next one is eSanta. eSanta, it is one of important electronic platform which will be very much helpful for trading between aqua farmers and as well as exporters or buyers. So this topic will be important regarding governance. So in governance, we will come across one important major topic, that is e-governance. So in that way, this is also very important, and it is also comes under electronic marketing or e-marketing. So this topic will be important from economy point of view also. So first let us focus on context. So many aquaculture farmers in Andhra Pradesh, they are now planning to update the details of their produce online and to market their stocks through eSanta. So this is one important development in trade of this aqua products. So if you're talking about further more details regarding this eSanta, so eSanta, it is an electronic marketplace mainly to export marine products, okay, and it is a platform to connect aqua farmers and buyers across country. So what will be advantage whenever farmers are coming in contact with directly buyers? So there will be elimination of middlemen. So whenever we are eliminating middlemen, so we can also improve income of farmers. So there is one important aim of our Indian government is to double farmers' income, right? So to achieve that aim, so this type of platforms will be very useful. And next one is producers and exporters who registered under this eSanta, so they can trade online on this platform. So these are some important things that you need to remember, and you can expect a question regarding this eSanta. Like recently eSanta is seen in news, what it is related to, and they will be giving options A, B, C, D and ask you to choose the correct option. So in this way you can get questions from this type of topics. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Pegasus is India's Watergate moment. So we are studying about this Pegasus from last 5 days onwards. So as you all know, this is a spyware, right? So whenever any missed call which is or voice call or any call which is coming to our WhatsApp, whenever we are clicking that, so our phone has been hacked by this Pegasus, right? And they will be having access to our calls and as well as mobile details and contacts, images, so and so, etc. So this article will be important from security point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 3, and you can expect mains question this year regarding this Pegasus for sure. So there are two articles in our today's editorial which talked about this Pegasus. So now let us try to understand almost whatever important regarding this Pegasus I am covering from last 4 to 5 days. So there is nothing much important, but there is a one overview which is given in one article. So we are going to discuss that. So here if you see, so central theme of this article here is government must come clean on issues which are mainly raised by revelations of phone surveillance. So here opposition party mainly claiming that so this Pegasus mainly brought up by government officials or government, and they are mainly using mainly to follow some surveillance, okay. So this is allegation which is made by opposition parties. So mainly to clear that what can be done, that is given in this article. So if you see context, at least 1,000 Indian phone numbers, they are in list of potential targets of surveillance. So they are mainly using a spyware, that is Pegasus spyware. So this Pegasus spyware mainly sold by Israeli company. So name of that company is NSO Group. So Israel also says that approval from Israel government is there for selling of this Pegasus. So if you see details, it mainly says that recently 300 numbers are verified and 22 phones were subjected to forensic analysis. So this done by Amnesty International, and also this case is mainly reviewed by even Tornado Citizen Lab also. So if you're focusing on results of this studies, which mainly says that 10 were clearly established that they are being targeted by this Pegasus spyware, and 8 of other and 12 they yielded inconclusive result. So this is about results of study. So if you are focusing on India, So we cannot have a single biased thing. So you are going to be future bureaucrats. So whenever you are taking decisions, that should be a balanced decision and that should be practical decision, right? So if you see in India, Indian citizens, they are mainly indeed targets of vicious and as well as abominable and uncivil surveillance campaign by government entity, right? So here this article mainly says that government has failed up mainly to coming up with clean explaining about what had happened, but we cannot say like government came up with this illegal surveillance. Okay, so if you're talking about legal principles or legal provisions in our India, so we are having many legal provisions regarding maintenance of national security and as well as public safety in India. But in this Pegasus, in this 1,000 numbers, so mostly potential targets, they are journalists and as well as politicians, even Supreme Court judge and as well as former election commissioner. So we discussed about these people and as well as former Congress president, that is Rahul Gandhi ji also, right? So here this thing does not indicate that surveillance necessitated by national security or public safety concerns, but it is also very much safe to assume that no information regarding terrorism or any Chinese intrusion that can be obtained by this Pegasus. So one thing it is very much clear here is whenever there is any violation or whenever this spyware which is acting like this, then that will lead to violation of privacy. So even though in case Puttaswamy case, Supreme Court said that this right to privacy is also one integral part of our fundamental right under Article 21 of our Indian Constitution. So recently this opposition party mainly alleged that government did this, okay, because NSO group will not sell this type of Pegasus software to other individuals. It will be selling only to government officials. So this is the thing which mainly done by government officials. So this is the one allegation mainly seen here. So if you see truth about these revelations, we must be unearthed and thorough investigation that need to be done by these joint parliamentary committees, or it can be done by Supreme Court or any other credible mechanisms. So we need to clear whether Indian agency brought this Pegasus or not. So it is our responsibility of our government. So whenever there is any allegations which are happening like this, and whenever there is spreading of rumors that is happening in social media or so and so, that will lead to decrease in trust. Okay, that will lead to trust deficit between people and as well as government. So here the need here it is we need to go for investigations that can be done by joint parliamentary committee, or that can be done by Supreme Court or any other credible mechanism. Finally, we need to clear this Indian agency brought this Pegasus or not. So this is just of this topic. And now let us see next topic. Before seeing next topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful? So one thing you need to remember here is to write good answer and to go for and you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs for sure. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 year current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And one more thing I want to focus here is regarding mains answer writing practice. So even though if you are doing hard work and if you are ignoring this mains answer writing practice, so you need to pay large amount, that is 1 more year, because even though if you are doing hard work and if you clear prelims, you cannot clear mains for sure without answer writing skills. So in this course we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And next thing is, if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday and we also provide you video explanation part. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. So details of this course which is given in description box. So please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says sharing during scarcity. So this article mainly focus on a recent AP and Telangana water sharing issues regarding this river Krishna and as well as river Godavari. So this topic will be important from polity point of view because one article which mainly talks about this is Article 262 of Indian Constitution, which mainly talks about Interstate Water Council. Okay, so now let us try to discuss this topic in very great detail. First, we need to know what is happening now. So what is background and why it is in news. So if you see context, Andhra Pradesh complained Krishna River Management Board that drawing of water from Srisailam project by Telangana for power generation. So as you all know that here Andhra Pradesh and Telangana state are sharing boundary, and Telangana state carved out of from this undivided Andhra Pradesh, right? So what happened here, Andhra Pradesh mainly complained that Krishna River Management Board about drawing of water from Srisailam project by Telangana, and it is mainly using those water for power generation. So if you see here, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh states, they share stretches of river Krishna and as well as river Godavari and their tributaries also. And both the sides, that is from Andhra Pradesh state and as well as from Telangana state, they proposed several new projects without getting clearances from river boards and as well as Central Water Commission and other important authorities, etc. So what happened here? Recently Telangana government proposed to increase utilization of Krishna water from section of river above the Srisailam reservoir. So because of this, AP filed a complaint against this use of this Krishna river water. So AP government also says that here other things like Palmuru Rangareddy project and as well as Dindi lift irrigation scheme and Kaleshwaram projects, there are also some new projects of this Telangana government. And here one thing you need to remember here is both the sides, from Andhra Pradesh side and as well as from Telangana side, they want to come up with new projects. Okay, so if you see recent developments regarding this issue is, recently Union Minister of Jal Shakti came up with Gazette notification. So in this Gazette notification, it mainly said that jurisdiction of this Krishna and Godavari river management boards over these projects and assets in field of irrigation as well as hydropower, they are delayed. Okay, so because of this delay, it is also one welcome step. So there is a delay which is happening from last 7 years onwards. So here the scope of reference of existing Krishna River Water Dispute Tribunal, that will be going to this Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal 2 here. So Telangana had moved to Supreme Court regarding that. So center in this context, it said that it would consider Telangana's request only if it withdraw its petition. Okay, Telangana says that it wanted its complaint to be referred to current tribunal because it will also avoid duplication of inquiry. So if you're talking about, finally this article mainly says that matter concerning this jurisdiction of two bodies, so here decision will be taken by center and center decision will be final over this. So both the states, they have its own justification regarding new power projects. Here Andhra Pradesh state says that, so there is Rayalaseema, it is a dry area, so we need excess water for them. Okay, and they are coming up with their own justifications that will be helpful for their economic development finally. So in this context, what is the need? What can be done? So need here is, we can focus on water and as well as energy conservation. And finally, whatever the projects which already have, we can improve efficacy of those irrigation schemes and as well as hydel reservoirs and also those projects. So because why we need to focus on already existing projects? Because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so already we are facing extensive financial crisis, right? So that COVID-19 also had an adverse impact on finances of states. So here in this context, we need to consider the alternatives and as well as low cost options than compared to that of these new projects. So this is final conclusion of this topic. So this is just, I hope it is clear. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package. Thank you so much.